I'm Chase. I'm the Director of Sales and Customer Success here at Dataedo. Alongside of me is our Head of Product, Mac. Mac will be leading us through everything data profiling, both within Dataedo and out of Dataedo. So hopefully it'll be not only a good experience for you to understand about data profiling within Dataedo, but also within the industry, and catch you up to speed on data profiling as a whole. From here, we'll go into the agenda. So what we'll be leading through is firstly, what is data profiling? So the use cases here, and then the tools that you can use to take advantage of data profiling in that effort there. Then we'll go into a quick, what is Dataedo for those of you who are new to Dataedo? And then we'll go through data profiling in Dataedo. So everything from architecture to the Dataedo desktop, web catalog, how this looks, how you use it. So we'll give you a holistic view there. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Mac.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. As Chase said, I'm working on a product in Dataedo. And let me start from beginning. So what is data profiling? Okay, so data profiling, my take is that data profiling is process of examining the data in your data source, whatever it is, and doing two things: A, collecting statistics, and B, presenting summaries. Only that and that. The reason why I'm underlining these two things is that people often, there is common misunderstanding between data profiling and data analysis. So data profiling is about understanding data and understanding data quality, while data analysis is kind of the next step. It's understanding processes and getting insights, business insights. So data profiling is focused solely on data. The questions which will later on some slides appear are business questions, and they are part of data analysis and business analysis and like next steps. But for now, we will focus only on understanding data and understanding quality of data, and that is data profiling. So why one should do data profiling? What are use cases for that? So first use case is something what I already mentioned. It's data analysis. So data profiling should be the very first step in data analysis process, because analysis requires good understanding of data that you are going to analyze. Like not only the data, you should also have the bigger picture. But at the very beginning, you should understand the data. And going back to the slide before, one more note here is that you can do data profiling without knowing the bigger picture. So you will just work on data. While when it comes to data analysis, you should know the bigger picture to do proper data analysis. So going forward, data profiling should be used as the first step in data analysis. Same goes for data quality. It's much easier to determine data quality based on some metrics, and you need to have those metrics, and data profiling is a process which gives you that metrics. Third example, data protection. Data profiling helps identify sensitive data. What I mean by that is it's fairly easy to determine that in clients table, in first name or in last name columns, there are probably sensitive data, like first name and last name of a client. It might be much harder to find out that the same data might be copied to some comment table at the very, like the comment column at the very end of the table. Without data profiling, with only documentation which might not cover this part, you won't be able to figure this out. With data profiling and then peeking into data, going through samples and stuff like that, there's a good chance that you will spot that, and that is something what might help with identifying sensitive data. 3 bullets point here, but that are not all use cases from slightly different area. Data profiling is also extremely useful when you are integrating, migrating, or creating new systems. So when you have given set of data, when you have your data source and you would like to integrate it with a new system, then this system has some requirements and you need to know if your data meets requirements or not. And the same goes with migration, and the same goes with developing a new system from scratch. And data profiling is a perfect approach to figure out if your data are meeting requirements or not. Obviously, that are not all use cases, but I would like to go to the tools right now. So what can be used? We already know why should we do data profiling, what are examples of use cases. So let's answer now, what can we use to do that? And the first thing that comes to my mind is just, let's query database directly. Let's prepare a set of queries. Because I believe that you don't need dedicated tools. We will talk about them later, but for the very beginning, you can start by querying your database. You can find set of useful queries, for instance, in recent Piotr article on our site, or you can prepare your own set of queries. The good thing about this approach is that it's available for every data source. The bad news is that A, it's time consuming, and B, it might not be the most productive use of your time, but hey, still, it's doable. If data set is, let's say, small enough, then the other approach might be using some spreadsheets. So you can export your data to format that will first to CSV or XLS, the format that you can process with your Excel or other spreadsheet program, and you can play with data there. Obviously, it depends on the data source, because exporting sensitive data into your laptop is a risky thing. But again, it's an alternative. It's the easiest way to start doing data profiling without any tools. But speaking of tools, if you are using some BI tools, then probably data profiling is already part of them. So it's data profiling is part of both Tableau and Power BI Desktop. If you are using data catalogs, then data profiling is part of them. And Dataedo as a data catalog currently also provides data profiling module. When it comes to tools that are database specific, so for instance, Compass is only for MongoDB. So there are some tools, database specific tools, which also cover this part. And there are plenty of other tools, which here or there and in different flavor cover this data profiling topic. For instance, Kaggle is large set of CSV datasets, which also contain data profiling. So why I was saying that? I was saying that because there is a common denominator across data profiling. First of all, it's data profiling is something common, and second of all those different tools, they gather metrics and statistics and try to show them in easy and consumable way to the end user. And my plan for the rest of the presentation is to show you Dataedo as an example tool for doing data profiling and for coming with questions which might lead to valuable things. And I think it's a good point to give voice back to Chase for a moment, so that Chase will introduce you with Dataedo.
Absolutely. And so, as for most of you, hopefully you know what Dataedo is, but those of you who do not, Dataedo is a data documentation tool. So primarily a data cataloging tool. Everything from data dictionary to business glossary, extended search. We try to offer a very holistic data cataloging solution. And now adding profiling to that belt, it helps our holistic approach here. So we really want to serve as your single source of truth about your data.
So going to architecture, I am going to guide you through this whole data profiling thing based on this diagram, and we will move through this diagram following arrows. So the architecture of data profiling in Dataedo is quite simple. With Dataedo Desktop, you can run data profiling, you can query your database, scan it, and then when results will be displayed, you can opt to save it to the Dataedo repository. And if you do, you don't have to, but if you do, then other members of data community will be able to browse data profiling results through a web catalog or Dataedo Desktop. So the first step is running data profiling from Dataedo Desktop. To maximize the value of this presentation, I am not going to go through every single feature and every single detail in Dataedo Desktop. I will just focus on most important things that you can do on this step. So you can run data profiling for any table, but not for every data source. In our documentation, you can find what data sources are supported. But still, you can run data profiling for a table, and you can pick some subset of columns that you would like to run data profiling on. The first thing that we serve in this data profiling view is sample randomly picked rows. So it's worth mentioning that this is not safe in the repository. Other things can be saved, but this is not being saved. And you don't have to profile whole table at once. You can select columns, and also you don't have to profile every metric at once. You can pick to either profile distribution, which is considered safe even for some protected data. Or you can opt to profile also with values, which might both give you more information about the data, but for some cases it might be too much. So there are options to go with only distribution profiling or profiling values, or you can do both at the same time, and we name it as full profiling. Whatever you do, so whatever you pick, let's say subset of columns and profiling distribution for this or that, and values and for this or that. The last part of running profiling in Dataedo Desktop is opting to save. So you can either save the results of profiling or you simply don't. And speaking of saving, we are moving to the next step on our architecture diagram. So that's this part. And there are three possible configurations of saving. By default, the saving is disabled in Dataedo. So by default, you can only profile or let's say scan database with Dataedo Desktop, but you can easily change that and you can enable saving. The bottom line is that there are three options: either scan only, or scan, save, and browse through a web catalog, or you can disable data profiling completely, also with one setting. So I believe it's your choice. But if you opt to save, then the next step would be obviously data community browsing and asking questions, browsing profile data in the web catalog and asking questions regarding data. So the last thing is this part. As I said, it's browsing. And to provide you with more context and the reason, like some of the reasoning why I find data profiling so useful, I will show you the web catalog with some questions on slides, and read those questions as, after me seeing such data is highlighted, such questions popped in my mind. And such questions are there thanks to data profiling. So, for instance, when I see row counts, I instantly can answer, or I can assume which table are in use and are there any data, but also I can assume which tables are transactional and which are lookup tables based on number of rows. And it's only number of rows. And when I go into the context of the column, then I am going to access more data. First of all, I'm going to access the distribution. So information about distinct, non-distinct, empty, and null, number of null values. First thing is, should I expect nulls in such column in case I would like to join it with some other column? Should I take care that there are nulls or there are empty values, or is it distinct? And if it's not distinct, why it's not distinct? It's the first question that comes to my mind. When I see, for instance, clients, and I see that, let's say, half of clients' email in our clients table are not distinct, then it's a good question to ask and good thing to investigate. And let's say that I am starting the process of preparing database for a newsletter. Then the first thing I am asking myself is, how many distinct values are in this or that column? So how many real clients' emails we have? And data profiling is like row distribution is allowing me to find answers to these questions, even if I don't profile values, so even without looking into values. But I can look into values for more details. And with values, there are more questions that can be answered. So what you see right now is top values with representation of percentages in the table. And the questions that can occur is, what is the most common value? Let's stick to this example with client's email. And if the most common value is test@noreply.org, then I should, again, investigate that, because either somebody is testing on production, or I mixed maybe production database with test database or things like that. Then going forward, I can look at bars on the right, and I can ask myself, are values distributed randomly or normally? Because for countries, for first name, for ages, for first name also, I expect distribution to be more normal than random. If distribution of, let's say, countries where our client's origin in is random, then probably the dataset is not correct. And the last thing, speaking of top values, common thing, to be honest, is figuring out, are there any incorrect duplicates? So I'm pretty sure you had such an example in your work, that same thing was represented by a different value. So the United States and USA are saying the same thing, but are different values, and maybe somebody forget about that when they were migrating, or didn't merge two values. It's good to investigate further if you will spot such things, and you can spot them with looking at top values. You can also look at minimum, maximum, and average values. Let's switch example to dates. For instance, when I'm using at minimum and maximum, I'm trying to think, is minimum and maximum same with what I am expecting it to be? So when I'm looking at user's birth date and users are our current, let's say, mobile app users, then I wouldn't expect anyone to be born in 1850. So maybe, again, we are testing something there, or there are users who tricked us, or our validation is not working properly. It's good to investigate. And changing example, if we have a shop and delivered date for an order is in future, it again looks suspicious. So based only on minimum and maximum, there are still questions that I can ask myself. Last but not least, value distribution. So how values are distributed across whole set. It might be similar as previous minimum and maximum. Some questions might be similar. For instance, can email be with just 3 signs? Probably not. And can clients has last name with 250 signs? Well, maybe, but I doubt that. And with this value distribution, we can also try to find any outstanding values that bring our attention with looking at standard deviation. For instance, very high invoice value, either like very, very high, either means that we are very profitable, or that somebody messed up with floating point. There are, or something other. So there are some things that we can investigate thanks to data profiling. Thanks to that we saw informative summaries. We can ask more questions, and we can proceed with data analysis, data cleaning, and all the use cases I mentioned at the very beginning. Before I give my voice back to Chase, and before I go to the Q&A session, I would like to share with you one incoming feature. Just one. There are more in the backlog, but this one is something that I feel is very needed in our current data profiling approach. We will be adding bulk profiling. So we will be adding an option to profile whole database at once. So in the case on the screenshot, there are only 3 tables, but imagine you have hundreds or thousands of tables. We will allow you to profile them from one view in a clever and in easy way. So that's for incoming things, but all that I showed you before and all that I described before, it's already available with Dataedo 10. So wrapping up, we go through use cases. We go through what can be used, starting from queries and Excel, and going through Dataedo as an example of other tool. And I showed you what you can see in Dataedo and what questions it might lead to. And I feel it's a good time to switch to Q&A session.
Perfect. And so for the Q&A, looks like we have one question so far. Can you filter a portion of rows in a table to profile? So example, customer name equals ABC Corp, and profile only those roles.
Okay. Currently not, but it's very high on. It's something that we will probably bring with bulk profiling, or maybe a moment later. And we know that we should bring that because there are many databases with soft deletes, for instance, and we would like to give you an option to exclude deleted rows. So what you are saying here is, can we add a custom where query to the profiling? So yes, we are planning to do that. For instance, to allow you to set where, like, profile this whole table, but only where customer name is ABC or where deleted at is null.
Perfect. And then follow-up question, can data profiling be done with desktop users and not shown on web catalog?
Yes, yes. So it's the matter of saving. Can data profiling be done with desktop and not shown on web catalog? Yes, you can. It's the default behavior of Dataedo. By default, it's exactly as you asked. It can be switched to saving, but by the default setting is that it can be done by Dataedo by desktop users. So answering directly, Chris Tyrickson, yes, exactly that.
Perfect. And then we do have a question from Paul. So as data changes, do we schedule profiling runs, or is there at least a way to see the date when the profile was done?
So in data profiling view, in Dataedo desktop, in this view, there is an option to see the date when the profiling was run. It's next to the column name, because each column can be profiled at a different time. Currently, we are not storing history. And you cannot schedule profiling for now. So 3 questions. Do we schedule profiling runs? No. Is there a way to see the date when the profiling run was done? Yes, in Dataedo desktop and in the repository. I'm not sure about web catalog. I am almost sure that the date is showed somewhere there, but I don't want to commit to that. So at least for Dataedo desktop.
Great. And then also coming from Krista, is data profiling a separate feature from existing data discovery and classification, or does it replace it?
It's different feature. For now, it's a separate feature. Why I say for now? Because we also had feedback that some of you would like to influence one with another. So some of you would like to be able to profile only not classified columns, for instance. So there are plans to somehow influence one with another. But for now, data profiling is a separate feature from classification, and it's not replacing it.
I'm running version 10 desktop. I can connect to databases and import metadata from them, but when I attempt to profile on a table, I receive a cannot connect error. Are there other setup requirements?
Yes. So first of all, with Dataedo 10, not all data sources are supported with data profiling. We added few sources with 10.0.1 fix and 10.0.2 fixes. So what I would do is, firstly, I would check if you are running Dataedo 10.0.2 version, so latest version. And if you still, if you are running and you are still getting this error, then you can check if your data source is supported. You can check that on our docs site. I will link that in a moment.
Joe said only profiling non-PII columns is going to be very important for compliance reasons. So that's more of a comment off of that.
Yes, it's something. Regarding this influencing data classification with data profiling, I totally agree.
Said in regards to the other requirements, said that he's tried Oracle and Redshift. He is on 10.0.
Okay, so I think Oracle should be supported from 10.0 if my mind is not playing tricks with me. However, Redshift it's not supported with 10.0. and it's not supported with 10.0.2. But we are bringing few more sources with incoming 10.1. So yeah, the reason is that queries we are using for data profiling are different from queries we are using for gathering metadata, and yeah, not data sources are supported out of the box.
Yeah, he said he used the ODBC beta connector, so that's not likely supported. Yeah, that's correct, Richard. Also on that, we do support Redshift directly now, natively. So you should be able to connect it there if you would like. Just one thing to note.
Yes, we do for documentation,
right.
But we don't for data profiling.
And that'll be coming. But I know, Richard, when you were using it previously, we didn't support it through native. So that is there now. And then I don't see any other questions coming forward. So Mac, if you'll go to the last slide, everyone, please know that you can reach out to us directly via email. Mac with any product-related questions you want to know straight from the source, and then myself with anything related to anything. So any questions you have, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to point you in the right direction and make sure that your questions are answered. And then, as always, we also have our live chat on our website. So email, live chat, or you can give us a call. So anything you need, please reach out. But we will go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you for popping in, and Matt, thank you for running us through things.
Yep. Thank you for the patience.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.